All right, we're here at the special live edition of QA2 Max at the 2014 USTFCCCA convention in Phoenix. Joined by Bob Braman, the director of men's and women's track and cross country at Florida State.
Not just head coach. They don't make me a director.
And Bob, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
So the question we're kind of leading off with everyone is, what's on the docket for you at this convention?
Well, you know, it's one of these years. I've been on the cross country committee, executive committee for 10 years. I finally get out this year. But, you know, that's been great, working with the other coaches and working on legislation. And I'm the past president now. So that's been really my passion. Of course, we built a national level, national specifications cross country course in Tallahassee. So I'm on the Tallahassee 2018 bandwagon. Mm-hmm. So a lot of promoting that, but promoting the sport. But for me, I'm going to get the opportunity, which I really like, to get it to the sessions and listen to the other coaches, mostly distance coaches, because I think old dogs can still learn new tricks.
Sure.
So that's what I'm hoping to do. And there's new people every year. And so for me, it's some neat stuff I can pick up.
Before we get into your Florida State career, I want to talk about the very beginning of your career. You were a high school coach first.
Yep.
And that's kind of a path that has been kind of eliminated now. You can't really go into coaching, from college coaching from high school now. You kind of have to take a job that's maybe not as much actually about coaching. As kind of a guy who got your start coaching at a high school, how do you feel about that kind of the way things have changed professionally?
And that's a really good question, because it's incredibly difficult for people to get into college coaching, period.
Yes. Regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah. And I was at Tampa Catholic High School. It was my hometown. Was just working a job, and it was, it was part-time work. It was a supplement thing, and I just fell in love with it. I never intended to be a coach, and it just ended up being what I did. The second break came for me, other than being able to coach kids that just let me do it with no experience, other than being a runner, was in my hometown, Tampa. University of South Florida had a men's cross country, only men, and this was 1983. And my high school coach, Jerry Slavin, who's the Tampa University D2 head coach now, he was running the program, and he said, I'll pay you $1,000 to come be my part-time assistant. So $1,000 was more than the $185.
Right.
$185 I was making at Tampa Catholic, and I was able to do my workouts. I was able to do some things, in my own running that I could work out with them, and I had a job during the day running a sporting goods store, running store. So that's how I got in, and so I think today it's a very difficult path. There's some phenomenal high school coaches out there, particularly in the state of Florida. Yeah. And they don't, they can't take the pay cut. They're too old. They can't take the 20 years to get through it. So I really think the best way is just to, if you can go to your alma mater or somewhere in your region of the country, be a volunteer coach, be a GA if you can, learn the business, preferably at your alma mater, but from the inside out, and then hope to move up that way. That's
the only way you can do it now, right?
It's tough, and even then, it's incredibly competitive.
Yeah. Fast forwarding a few decades then.
Okay.
Florida State's kind of that rare program where you guys shoot for being outstanding in cross country and track, and not just sprints and track, but throws and jumps and hurdles and everything. How do you kind of, year by year, almost sit down like an accountant and we can't spend all our money this year, even if we have 405 milers coming. We can't spend all our money this year, even if it'll give us a 39 flat 4x1 next year. How do you kind of do that accounting every year?
Yeah, it's tough, and so we try to be relatively logical about it. It's 1/3 of our budget goes to distance and cross country, 1/3 to sprints and relays, and then 1/3 to the field events.
Wow!
And of course, there's some crossover. We try to preserve that 1/3 for men's and women's distance. So, Coach Harvey, our women's cross-country coach, has only got 6 scholarships. She competes against a lot of 10s and 12s and does an incredible job. And in our case, 4.2. My job as a head coach is to say, okay, the tie's got to go to the better area. And Coach Harnden and his sprint group, just fantastic. And so we try to give the tie to the sprint runner, because they also have more. They have 2 seasons that they can be effective, and they can do many events. So it's a balancing act. I won't tell you it's not frustrating, because it is, because you've got teams that put the majority of their money into distance, and then we got to go try to compete against them in cross country. You get a key guy hurt, and you just don't. You know, I had 2 key injuries to our team this year. We ranked top 15 on the men's side. 2 key injuries, one at the meet, one coming in, and you know now I'm running 3 walk-ons, and that's just not the place to break in 3 walk-ons in their first NCAA championship. So there's a challenge there. I think the same challenge exists in track and field. If a program puts 10, 11, 12 into sprints and jumps and not into hurdles or not into throws and not into horizontals or multis or certainly distance, that's a little unequal there too. And that's got to be frustrating on that side. But nobody's come up with a perfect solution yet. We've talked about these things for years, cross-country scholarships, and that's why we come to conventions like this, is to try to see if there's some new ideas to make it a little better championship, a fair championship.